Welcome to Momentous Doge, Episode 8, Arabian Brews, featuring our lovely friend from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Mike, a fellow pundit who's come back home for the holidays, and we managed to sneak in a game on camera. Shout out to Mike's local Brewers player, or rather shout at Michael's local Brewer player. This will be an educational masterclass in how to suck someone in. So you'll see here I'm playing Hammer. I've got Brick Marbles, Lucky, Flint, Tower, and the Big Man. And Mike is playing Tapper with Scum, Friday Spigot, Hooper, and Lucky as well. So we're having a Lucky off. Spoilers, this isn't the greatest of Lucky games, so hope I can get some better Lucky action on camera. Every time I put Lucky down, everyone always asks me how good I think Lucky is. And unsurprisingly, better than Mallet, you know. But yeah, I think Lucky is a really good guy. Here we're sort of walking Mike through how to play with Nick's app. That's gbh.nick.ng in your web browser, and it'll let you play a linked game where both people can see each other's health and up and down as they go. It really is just a quality of life improvement when playing Guild Ball, I think. So, into the game. Here, Flint has taken I thought it was a reasonably conservative kickoff. I was successful and allowed a reroll here, but I didn't take it. This is sort of in the middle of the good and bad kickoffs that could happen, so I thought I'd just take it. Having a kickoff that went a bit further up the field was what I was after, but I'll take it. So here, Lucky is going to dodge back there. It's not exactly ideal. Yeah, not really. See, that sort of blanks a lot of that influence I have on Lucky there. I was really hoping for a bit more of an aggressive Lucky placement from Mike. So that's quite good play, actually. So here, Mike takes the safe kickoff back to Hooper, banks his momentum, and I elect to have a go with Flint. He doesn't counterattack, which is probably correct given Hooper's a 3-1 and I'm not suffering any crowds here with Flint, because I do wrap and I get the push dodge. So Flint kicks just over Scum without any, can't remember what it's called, crowd outs, that thing. I elect to take the dodge back to the obstacle here, in the vain hope that it'll, I don't know, at least make it a little harder for Brewers to kill Flint. Spoilers, it wouldn't anyway. But I think this might have been a mistake. Just killing it at the line of scrimmage back there might have been a bit better for me, I think. And it would have saved me that point of momentum, which I could have used later in the turn. So, lessons learned. Not always correct to dodge, even when it sort of feels correct. So Tapper and Hooper are sort of double sticking Flint here. It's not not likely that Flint's going to live through this. Poor guy's getting a bit of a beat down, but I think he does live through here, purely because he's got 14 boxes, and that's a bit awkward if you roll pretty badly, like Mike is here with Brewers. I've sort of started adopting a bit more of an aggressive positioning with Hammer's team than the rest, like the last game I played with Hammer, because I sort of found like I was outdistancing Hammer a lot with the rest of my team. Sorry, Hammer was outdistancing the team a lot, and I wasn't getting to do the Iron Fist pulls and stuff that I was really after. So here, Flint is dead now. Surprise, surprise. Spigot touches you, you die. Things we learn. So what I've gotten trapped in here, though, is I think my brick and marbles placement may have been a bit too aggressive. I was looking for a position that would allow me to be very aggressive with Hammer here, and then hold the countercharge bubbles over him. And because Mike has sort of a dearth of 2-inch reach guys, well, two that really matter. I thought I would be a bit more aggressive so I could get the maximum push forward out of hammer. Turns out not entirely relevant. Here I run lucky back in. Mike has correctly seen that all my strikers are over that side at the top of the pitch. So if he brings the ball down to the bottom of the pitch, bar Flint returning, I'm not really in a position to take that ball. So here, he's gone in with the cat, trying to tie up my counter charges. I thought this was a mistake initially. Here we're sort of talking about unpredictable movements and where he might want to go. So in the end, we decided that he does want an unpredictable movement to stop me sort of pushing him into a triangle with brick and marbles, and then hammer killing him. He may as well dodge out of Lucky's engagement and be one less crowd out while he sort of makes his swings. He is charging brick here though, so he does end up doing a reasonable amount of damage to brick, I thought. Here, Hammer is getting to make some use of his momentum, his influence to generate momentum, in addition to punishing marching off Lucky and Iron Fist, because why not? He sort of walks up. We don't kill the cat this turn. This may or may not have been a mistake. I didn't actively choose not to kill the cat. We went too low on the last swing and left him alive, but it turns out to be the right call because it gives me the extra activation next turn. I was a bit worried about it at the time because Hammer's 5 influence is so precious and so scarce that you really don't want to have to actually spend one of it, especially against tough hide models like Brewers. Tapper and Hooper are sort of very hard to access here, and Lucky is a 4-1, Friday's a 5-1. Those 5 influence are pretty precious, and I'm feeling a bit under activation pressure here with the knockdown control that the Brewers are bringing, that I don't want to actually have to tool up with Tower. The more I played into this game, the more I sort of felt that the Tower may have been a mistake, and that I actually didn't want Tower, I wanted someone else. So, learning. I don't really feel like I'm actually going to take out one of the tough hide models after playing in this game, so I should have probably just gone with a bit more of a reasonable turn. So here, Hammer, I've won the roll. We're kicking off the turn with all 3 Hammer abilities on Hammer. And he's just going to take a walk into Friday. Friday on a box with Spigot here, 5-1. We get reasonably lucky and take the tackle knockdown on the first swing. It's not impossible, but it is pretty lucky to get it on the first swing because we get to beat backer out of cover without having to take a push and still get the ball, knock it down. There's not going to be any counterattacks here, so that's pretty good. So we walk Friday back into a team with Hammer, and we take the kick. We do a bit of damage to Friday. I probably should have been paying more attention to this later in the game, that Friday was actually damaged, and sort of looking for her as a takeout, as opposed to sort of looking for that third goal. That said, Mike is going to be in the rest of this game quite good at Friday placement and keeping her nice and far away from everyone who might sort of victimize that low health. So here we've taken the goal and we've run the length. Back to the box, which turns out to be the second time I've made that mistake in this game. I probably should have just kept Hammer further down the field, maybe even run the length out of all the engagements, and that would have allowed me to not get charged by Tapper here, which is the real big thing. I went too far back to myself. Might have just been a bit of a screw up where I didn't want to reach that far over the table again. But But so here, Tapper's going in. We sort of had this discussion about when you buy Commanding Aura and when you don't. I always get nerve-wracked with Tapper and just buy it. I really hate going deep and needing it on the last swing. That's just a bit rough for me. So here, Brick moves the countercharge bubble up. I'm trying to sort of ward off Spigot, because if Spigot gets to go in here, I'm in real trouble. I probably might actually die. Mike's left the ball on the ground, which would be really good if I had, say, Flint, and didn't bring him on in the bottom, up in the top of the field there, and I'd brought him on the bottom. That'd be a lot better here. Be able to come back in and threaten and stay away from Tapper. That's I haven't played with or against Brewers very often, and you really have to fear Tapper. He's like Better Hammer. Just deploys the control beat downs. That 2-inch melee and Commanding Aura is just super threatening and really livens up the rest of the influence on his team. I really do like Brewers. They're much more of a me team, I think. Good, honest punches with a bit of a goal scoring thrown in. Here, it's just not very good. Hooper's tying up both my counter charges. I've got one influence on Tower and some like leftover influence on Brick. It's just not good. So Lucky goes into Hammer here, does some good damage, a couple of Momentous 2s, nothing wrong with that, why not? But it's like I can see Hammer starting to die here, so I heal him. But it's not going to be enough, even with Tough Hide. That Commanding Aura is just going to smash him. And Spigot's going to get to go here, and that's the real problem. Having Hammer reasonably low on health, with Spigot still to go, it's just, Hammer's dead. Even a Tough Hide guy is no match for Spigot. Dem Raps. He'll get there in the end. So here, Mike is measuring out Flint's threat range and discovering that Flint is out of threat range of that ball, which we sort of already knew. We just gave him enough to where'd they go onto the fast ground and take a charge into someone if he can. The rest of that influence is not great in this turn. What is happening here, you can probably see, is the Brewers scrum is starting to suck in all my models. When what I really should be doing is just running around it, forcing him to split his team. This is sort of what happens when you're playing a team that is a split focus team, like you punch and you goal, or Hammer is quite a punchy split team. You sort of get into that habit of like, oh yeah, I punch. You don't punch Brewers. That's not what's going on here. So I'm up 9-4 at the moment. 9-4. Hammer and Flint are dead. So here, Flint just goes right back into the piece, straight into the threat range of Tapper. Why? Why would I do that? You tell me, listener. You tell me. Watcher, listener, person. It's just bad. It's just bad play. Just handing him a takeout here. I even forgot that Flint has sponged, and I have no momentum to heal him. Just a shitty play. So going into the next turn, I've lost the roll here, and I've got to accept that these Brewers are going to do a bit of a dance on me. I only need to re-kill the cat and get a takeout or a goal. So it's still very playable. My players are starting to get sucked in the gravity well of the Brewers' death ball, but all I need to do is make one breakout. I put 4 influence on Flint here because I can stack up pretty much all my players except for Hammer. And Hammer, unless Mike screws up royally, is not going to actually get to hit anything. I have wingback, so I can still take a charge from there with 1 influence. It may look like I'm pretty blank, but it's sort of a little bit of a pocket if Mike screws up. I put the 4 influence on Flint there to make sure he kills Flint, I've sort of realised this. I said, I'm like, oh no. 4 influence is better than Tapper sort of recommitting to the whole fight. Not having commanding aura pushing onto the rest of my guys is probably worth a player here for me. Keeping Tapper out of the middle of the scrum. So if I was not being a shit player, I would have correctly used that to sort of shift the fight miles away from Tapper. But I'm pretty bad. So here I'm sort of mapping out Tower. Tower goes around the side. Optimistically, he's going to tackle Friday or knock down Friday and beat her down over to the goal there and score. It's not really going to happen. All I'm looking for is to tackle a ball or do some damage. But I don't really get either of them, which is pretty shitty. He just sort of walks her back there, and when I'm beatbacking or whatever it's called, knockbacking, I don't notice that I've knockbacked myself into Spigot's melee range. I was very careful to put him out of Spigot when I was running around, but I'm incredibly bad, so he sort of shadow likes away, runs around there and does some good work. Get over here's the cat in as well. So this is just terrible. He's getting 2 takeouts for free this turn because I'm incredibly bad. This is good capitalization though. He could have sort of let that get away by under committing to those free takeouts, but he's sort of correctly identified here that that's his path back into this game. He's gone from 2 to 8 very quickly. Which is good. That's sort of the way you keep up with goals when you're playing Brewers. You need to go 4 takeouts, then 1 goal. If you start goaling in the middle, it's just going to go badly for you because you're giving them access to that last 4 points back. So here, I've gone with marbles and goaded Spigot, and then had the horrific realization that Tower is still in that melee range, and it's not going bad for me. Sorry, it's going to go bad for me. This is not good. So yeah, this is unfortunate. Yeah. Looking back at this, it's just Mike's getting all the things right, and I am not. Hammer, not my speed, it would seem. So yeah, Spigot is putting the beat down on Tower. Tower dies, puts him up to 8, and Mike with a commanding lead on this game here. I need to make as much momentum as possible so I can go first next turn. I am not an outside chance to win, I actually think, if I can go first, because I can pull Hammer back in. Friday's gone, and then we can reasonably easily tackle knockdown Friday without the box. Might even charge bonus time some stuff, who knows. But tackle knockdown on 2 is very accessible. So yeah, I think if we go first, we're actually odds on to win this. Problem is, we need to battle the Brewer momentum machine because I have just fed him all of my guys. So yeah, make it hard for yourself, kids. That's how we roll. So here, Hammer is just going to run. No need to wing back. If this game goes for another hour or so, we might actually get to use that card. So, just keep in the bank. Why not? Yeah. So, still with the cat to go. This is pretty good play from Mike here. My early brick and marbles activations, well, early, mid brick and marbles activations this turn have sort of left my countercharge guys quite far up the field, which is great for Mike and terrible for me, because he Mike rolls over the table there and he puts the cat in Brick's melee range, and I get sucked in and take the marbles countercharge because I've forgotten how this game works. So yeah, that's good baiting from Mike. The cat is absolutely irrelevant here because Mike is on the short-term plan to score. Mike wins the roll. I think he was a +1, maybe +2. I think +1. So we pulled the momentum race back with Lucky, just doing Momentous 8 damage to the other Lucky. Lucky's a really great model, just really consistent. But he can't save me here. Mike has blocked all my counter charges, just rolls in, charges brick, gets the requisite double momentous push, and slots the goal. So big thanks to Mike for coming down, and hope the UAE scene. I just want to take a bit of a second here at the end of this video to have a PSA or a shout at people. Come on, unless you're on a top flight competitive plan and you're attending Worlds and up the top there, it does not matter what guild you play. The game is balanced enough outside of the minutiae of top level play to play anything you want. Unless you're like me and get sucked into playing random shit for your channel, just play what you love.